see on the Democrat side are staring at the real Russian collusion. I mean, there's real hard evidence of the Obama administration trying to directly affect the 2016 election campaign and the outcome. And there is direct evidence of the Hillary campaign and the DNC trying to taint Donald Trump by going to the Russians and developing this dossier. Yet we have the Democrats on this committee in the Senate going after the president and his relationship that he's trying to establish with Vladimir Putin. Clearly, this is maybe the biggest political smokescreen in the history of political smokescreens.
Yeah, you got it right. The Democrats have used the Russian intelligence to try to smear Trump, and they laundered it into the FBI and DOJ. And by all accounts, Mueller is still using it to target the Trump team. Remember those Pfizer warrants that everyone had been talking about, thanks to Judicial Watch helping getting them out through a FOIA lawsuit. Those were signed, at least one of them, at the time that Mr. Mueller was special counsel. So he was benefiting from that DNC Clinton dossier as well. So every Democrat should be asked whether or not they agree that the Democratic National Committee should have hired and used a law firm as a cutout to hire someone to go to talk to Russian intelligence about Donald Trump, then to leak that to the media, and then have the FBI use that as a basis to investigate him. Unbelievable. In fact, the reverse should have taken place. If Mueller were honest or the Justice Department was being run competently, you'd have the investigation into that collusion, which is substantial and real.
Absolutely. He should have turned it on a dime, or at least had a concurrence of an investigation going on here. And I doubt if that's happening. I certainly wouldn't bet my house on it. Now, Judicial Watch, regarding the FISA warrants, you're trying to get the transcripts from the FISA courts. And this kind of makes sense to me. You want to make public all transcripts of hearings regarding applications for or renewal of FISA warrants related to Page. That would be Carter Page, who was briefly on the Trump campaign. What you're trying to do here is fill gaps and try and answer questions that have been now asked from, what is the 400-page plus document that was released that got the FISA warrant initially. You're trying to answer the questions created by all the redactions of the 400-plus page document.
Yeah, everyone's saying, well, the courts approved this. Well, what was the process by which the court approved it? Was it questioning or was it rubber stamped? It looks like it might have been rubber stamped. Republicans had asked the court to release the transcripts earlier this year, and one of the judges said, hey, wait, we told the Justice Department we have no objections. You go ask Justice. So we did. We sued. They got back to us and said they have no FISA court transcripts for the Carter Page materials. So just yesterday, we went back to the court, the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, and filed a motion asking the court to release any transcripts. There may be no transcripts. My understanding is they don't always have transcripts at these hearings. Some of them ex parte, or as I said, it's just paper shuffling, so there's no hearing. So it's going to be interesting to see what the court's response is.
But even the redacted version that we have now seems to support the Nunes memo.
The warrant, yes.
The conclusion reached by the Nunes memo. And that is that the warrant was issued relying heavily on this dossier, this phony dossier that was built on Donald Trump by a guy who hated Donald Trump and then handed over eventually to the DNC and eventually infiltrated through the federal government thanks to John McCain and others. So they relied heavily on that without a point of reference for the judge. In other words, what I mean by that is they didn't explicitly tell the judge that this was political opposition research. That should have been the banner headline for this FISA warrant request.
They should have told the judge, in so many words, Hillary Clinton paid for it.
Right.
And we haven't verified it. And the judge would have obviously, and I can't imagine they wouldn't have told the judge that if they thought that wouldn't have gotten away of the judge approving it, so that's why they withheld it. It's a material omission of a relevant fact here. And not only that, but then they used the newspaper article created with the dossier leak as another point of support. And then they're talking about the State Department, which is also leaking dossier information from the Clinton camp into the DOJ and FBI.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.